On this channel, I create videos for people who are visiting Penang. However, if you enjoy Penang very much and you want to stay even longer, then today's video is for you because I'm going to talk about Malaysia My Second Home or MM2H. And we are going to look at the entry level for MM2H, which is the silver tier. Hello everybody, my name is Timothy and I want to welcome you to Penang Travel Tips YouTube channel, a channel for people who are visiting Penang and also want to get to know Penang. So in today's video, we are going to dive into Malaysia My Second Home or MM2H, and most of the information which I'm going to share with you, and I'll do it chapter by chapter so that it's easy for you to follow, and I will also put timestamps so that you can go from any chapter that you wish and get the information immediately. So all the information is reliant on official literature as published by the Ministry of Tourism, but I hope I can make it easier for you to digest. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
Penang streets so bright, every corner a delight. Markets buzz with life, filled with joy and sights. Hidden gems we find, local flavors oh so kind. From the beaches white, warm sun feels just right. Penang my new home, wherever I roam, this place is my own. Penang my new home.
Chapter 1. What is MM2H? So let's begin with the basics. What exactly is Malaysia My Second Home or MM2H? MM2H is a long-term visa program introduced by the Malaysian government to attract foreigners who want to live in Malaysia for an extended period. The history of welcoming foreigners to reside in Malaysia goes back to 1996 when it was called the Silver Hair Program, which was open only to foreign applicants aged 50 and above. From 1996 to 2002, about 818 foreigners participated under that scheme. In 2002, the Malaysian government rebranded and expanded the program, renaming it Malaysia My Second Home MM2H, and allowing applicants below 50 years old to participate. So essentially, MM2H replaced and broadened the earlier Silver Hair program, transforming it from an age-restricted initiative into a national long-term program that eventually evolved further into today's tiered silver, gold, and platinum structure. The key benefit of MM2H is that it offers a renewable multi-entry visa which allows you to live in Malaysia without the hassle of applying for short-term permits or work visas. It's not a path to permanent residency or citizenship, but it does give you long-term peace of mind. In 2022, MM2H was revamped and the three-tier structure of silver, gold, and platinum was introduced. Each tier comes with its own set of requirements based on your income, fixed deposits, and property investment. The idea is to make the program more accessible to different income groups while still ensuring that applicants can support themselves comfortably in Malaysia. Since then, the program has undergone further fine-tuning, and as of making this video in July 2025, the latest MM2H program rules date to mid-2024, with the most significant updates announced in June 2024. In this video, I'll be focusing on the silver tier as it's the most practical entry point for most people. It's suitable for retirees and professionals who want to live in Malaysia without an extravagant financial commitment. If you're considering living in Penang, whether full-time or part-time, the silver tier may be your best option. Now, just to be clear, MM2H is not a work visa. You're allowed to live in Malaysia, enjoy the lifestyle, and even run a business or invest, but you generally can't take up paid employment under this program unless you qualify under special categories, which we'll talk about later. So in a nutshell, MM2H is your ticket to living long-term in Malaysia legally, securely, and with access to everything this beautiful country has to offer. Coming up next, let's take a closer look at what you actually need to qualify for the silver tier. Chapter 2, Silver Tier Requirements. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of the silver tier, what you need to qualify and what's expected of you once you are approved. The silver tier is the entry-level option under the new MM2H structure and is designed for individuals who want long-term residency in Malaysia without needing to commit millions of ringgit. But make no mistake, it still comes with substantial financial requirements, so let's break them down. First, you need to be at least 25 years old to apply. There's no upper age limit, which makes the program especially appealing to retirees and mid-career professionals. However, for participants aged below 50 years old, you are required to be present, that is to say, to stay in Malaysia for at least 90 days cumulative in a given year. Financially, the big one is the fixed deposit. You need to place 150,000 US dollars into a Malaysian fixed deposit account. At the time of producing this video, the amount can be in US dollars or Malaysian ringgit, though the government prefers that you deposit in Malaysian ringgit and in future might make it a requirement that the deposit be in Malaysian ringgit. This amount must stay untouched during the first year. After that, you can withdraw up to 50% of the principal FD value starting from the second year onwards after the approval as MM2H participant, but only for approved expenses such as purchasing property, paying for medical bills, or children's education in Malaysia. The remaining balance must stay in the account for as long as you hold the visa. On top of that, you also need to show proof of financial capability, usually via bank statements or proof of offshore income, although the fixed deposit is the main qualifying factor. Income requirements may vary depending on the latest guidelines, so it's good to double check at the time you apply. Next, there's a medical requirement. You need to undergo a basic health screening at a registered Malaysian clinic and also have medical insurance that's valid in Malaysia for the entire duration of your stay. A certificate of good conduct or police clearance from your home country is also mandatory to show you have no criminal record. And finally, there's the application fee. For the silver tier, expect to pay 1,000 ringgit for the principal applicant with no participating fee for dependents. There may also be other processing and visa issuance fees involved. So those are the key requirements for the silver tier. In the next chapter, we'll look at another major part of the program, the requirement to purchase property in Malaysia. Chapter 3, Property Requirement. One of the key features of the silver tier under the MM2H program is the requirement to purchase property in Malaysia. This is something new compared to the earlier versions of MM2H where buying a property was optional. Now, for silver tier applicants, it's mandatory. So what exactly does this entail? To qualify, you must purchase a residential property in Malaysia worth at least 600,000 Malaysian ringgit, which is about US dollars 158,000. This can be a condominium, a landed home, or a service apartment, as long as it's legally classified as residential and meets the price threshold. Now here's an important point. Property thresholds vary by state. For example, in Penang, according to what I learned, you are allowed to purchase up to 2 properties at minimum 500,000 ringgit each. This is information I get from the iProperty portal, one of the main property portals in Malaysia. I will place the link in the description. You are given 1 year from the date your visa is issued to purchase the residential property. The purchase date is based on date of the sale and purchase agreement of the transacted property. Once you bought the property, you are required to hold it for at least 10 years. This means you cannot sell it within that period unless you are upgrading to a more expensive property. This rule is in place to ensure applicants have a long-term commitment to Malaysia rather than treating the program as a quick investment loophole. The property must also be completed, not under construction. Off-plan units do not qualify. You need to show proof of ownership such as the sale and purchase agreement and title deed as part of your MM2H documentation. If you're buying in Penang, make sure to consult with a local real estate agent familiar with MM2H requirements. Some developments even cater specifically for MM2H applicants and may offer assistance with the paperwork. If you need to be connected to a professional real estate agent or MM2H visa agent, WhatsApp me at my number and I will refer you to them. The property requirement is not just a box to tick, it's a key part of the silver tier and one that ties you to your new home in Malaysia quite literally. Up next, we'll look at the fixed deposit condition, how it works, when you can access it, and what you can use it for. Chapter 4, Fixed Deposit Conditions. Let's now talk about the fixed deposit requirement, which is one of the most important components of the silver tier under MM2H. If you're considering applying, understanding how this works is absolutely essential. As mentioned earlier, applicants under the silver tier must place $150,000 into a fixed deposit account with a licensed bank in Malaysia. This money must come from your own offshore funds and cannot be sourced from within Malaysia or borrowed locally. The deposit has to be made after your MM2H application is approved and the bank will issue a confirmation letter as proof. For the first year, the full $150,000 must remain untouched. But after 1 year, you are allowed to withdraw up to 50% of it, that's $75,000 for specific approved expenses. These include purchasing a residential property, including your MM2H required home, paying for medical treatments in Malaysia, and education expenses for your children if they are studying here. It's important to note that you cannot use the withdrawn amount for day-to-day living expenses, car purchases, or investments outside of those approved categories. The remaining 50% of your deposit must stay intact in the account for the entire duration of your stay under MM2H. That means if you renew your visa every 5 years, the remaining balance has to stay in place the whole time. Based on official literature, the fixed deposit must also be maintained in US dollars, but from what I understand, the government is now encouraging applicants to deposit in Malaysian ringgit and might make deposit in ringgit a requirement in the future. When you eventually decide to exit the MM2H program, whether due to relocation, retirement from the scheme, or visa expiry, and once all conditions are settled, the full amount is refundable to you along with any accrued interest. This fixed deposit serves as a form of financial assurance for the Malaysian government, showing that you have the means to support yourself while living here long term. Coming up next, we'll look at how MM2H handles dependents, including your spouse, children, and possibly even parents. Chapter 5, Bringing Dependents. One of the great features of the MM2H program, especially for the silver tier, is that you're allowed to bring your family members with you. This makes it a truly family-friendly residency option and ideal if you are planning to move to Malaysia not just for yourself but with loved ones. So, who qualifies as a dependent under MM2H? Firstly, your spouse is eligible provided your marriage is legally recognized. Secondly, your children, including stepchildren and adopted children under the age of 21, can be included as dependents. Children aged 21 to 34 may also be accepted on the condition that they are not employed and they are single while in Malaysia. So this covers your children as well as teenagers or college-aged kids who are still studying. Some flexibility is also offered to children that are medically certified as disabled with no age limit. Additionally, applicants may apply to bring parents and parents-in-law. Now, as far as documentation goes, you need to submit birth certificates, marriage certificates, and in some cases, custody documents or adoption papers, all properly translated into English if they are not already. Each dependent also requires a medical checkup, a valid medical insurance policy, and will be issued their own MM2H pass. One major plus of MM2H is that there is no participating fees for dependents. Another major advantage of MM2H is that dependent children can enroll in local or international schools in Malaysia, and there are excellent education options right here in Penang as well as in Kuala Lumpur and Johor Bahru. As for spouses, while they can reside here under MM2H, they cannot legally work unless they separately qualify for an employment pass or other valid work visa. So in summary, MM2H allows you to make Malaysia your home as a family, provided you meet the requirements and complete the paperwork. Next, let's talk about how long your visa lasts and how the renewal process works. Chapter 6, Visa Duration and Renewal. Let's now talk about how long you can stay in Malaysia under the MM2H Silver tier and what the process looks like when it's time to renew your visa. The visa under this program is called the MM2H Pass, so you will hear me using this term going forward. The MM2H Pass is a multiple entry visa. Under the current structure, the Silver tier MM2H Pass is valid for 5 years. During this period, you can live in Malaysia year-round, come and go as you please, and enjoy multiple entry status with no requirement to spend a minimum number of days in the country, though naturally, most participants make Malaysia their main base. But as mentioned, if you are below 50 years old, then yes, there is a requirement to be present in Malaysia for accumulation of 90 days every given year. At the end of the 5-year term, you can renew your MM2H pass for another 5 years, and there's no official limit to how many times you can do this. In other words, the visa is renewable indefinitely as long as you continue to meet the requirements set by the program at the time of renewal. The fee for renewal of the MM2H pass is 1,500 ringgit for yourself as well as for each of your dependent. Now, what do you need to renew? Generally, you have to show that your fixed deposit is still in place, that your medical insurance is valid, and that you have maintained a clean record during your stay in Malaysia. You also need to undergo a fresh health screening and submit updated financial documents. If you brought dependents, you need to resubmit their details as well. It's a good idea to start the renewal process 3 to 6 months before your visa expires, just to allow time for paperwork and approvals. If your visa lapses, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave Malaysia immediately, but you need to go through additional steps and potentially face penalties or reapply from scratch. Also, it's worth mentioning that visa conditions can change from time to time. While the current policy allows indefinite renewals, future governments may revise requirements, so it's important to stay informed and compliant. So, if you're planning for the long haul, rest assured MM2H gives you a clear renewable pathway to call Malaysia home year after year. Up next, let's explore what life is actually like under MM2H, the lifestyle, limitations, and opportunities that come with living in Malaysia on this visa. Chapter 7, Life under MM2H. So, what is life really like when you are living in Malaysia under the MM2H program? The short answer is quite comfortable, especially if you choose a place like Penang, where the lifestyle is relaxed, the food is amazing, and the cost of living is relatively affordable compared to many Western countries. The good life in Penang, which you will enjoy, is not exclusive only to foreigners living in Penang. Even we, the Penang people, or as we call ourselves, the Penang Lang, have a very good life, even though you might hear us complaining the whole time, especially about the traffic congestions. But if you take a good look at how the Penang people live, what we can afford, the homes we live in, the vacations we take, you know that Penang people often take their blessings for granted. Once you have been approved for MM2H and have your visa in hand, you are free to live anywhere in Malaysia, whether in Penang, Kuala Lumpur, Langkawi, or even smaller towns. You can buy a car, open bank accounts, sign up for utilities, and even join local clubs and societies. Many MM2H participants enjoy an active lifestyle, engaging in community activities, volunteering, or pursuing hobbies like golf, sailing, or art. That said, MM2H does come with some restrictions. For example, as a general rule, you are not allowed to work in Malaysia under this program. This means you cannot take up a job with a Malaysian company or earn income locally. However, if you're running an online business, earning passive income from abroad, or become a YouTuber like me, that's usually not an issue. There are some exceptions. If you qualify under Malaysia's Resident Pass Talent program or receive special permission, limited work opportunities may be possible, especially in areas where your skills are in demand. As for taxation, Malaysia is considered tax-friendly. MM2H holders are not taxed on income earned outside Malaysia, even if it's remitted into the country. This makes it especially appealing for retiree or digital nomads. Healthcare is another plus. Malaysia offers high-quality private healthcare at a fraction of the cost in many Western countries. With MM2H, you have access to the full range of private clinics and hospitals. Just be sure your medical insurance covers you locally. In short, MM2H gives you the freedom to live a full, relaxed, and culturally rich life in Malaysia, with many of the comforts of home, but at much more affordable cost. Now, let's tackle some of the most frequently asked questions about MM2H that come up time and time again. Chapter 8, Frequently Asked Questions. Let's now go through some of the most frequently asked questions about MM2H, because chances are, if you're considering this program, you have probably wondered about a few of these yourself. So, number 1, is MM2H the same across all of Malaysia? Answer, not exactly. While MM2H is a federal program, each state may impose its own rules, especially when it comes to the minimum property price foreigners can buy. For example, Penang, along with Kuala Lumpur and Johor Bahru, has a higher property price than other states. As I've mentioned, it's best you consult a professional MM2H agent to help you. Question 2. Can I eventually get permanent residency or citizenship through MM2H? Answer, no. MM2H does not lead to PR or citizenship. is a long-term social visit pass, and while renewable, it doesn't transition into any permanent immigration status. If your goal is citizenship or PR, MM2H is not the pathway. Question 3. Is MM2H better than Sarawak MM2H or SMM2H? Answer: that depends on your situation. Sarawak's MM2H is administered separately and has its own requirements, generally lower in terms of fixed deposit and income. However, SMM2H limits you to living in Sarawak only, or rather, you must spend a specific minimum number of days in Sarawak. The federal MM2H, on the other hand, gives you freedom to live anywhere in Malaysia, including Penang. Question 4. What happens if MM2H rules change after I get approved? Good question. Normally, you are governed by the rules that were in place at the time of your approval, at least until your current visa term ends. But for renewals, you may need to comply with any updated requirements, so it's wise to stay informed and flexible. Question 5. How long does it take to apply? Answer: processing time may vary, but typically ranges from 3 to 6 months. Still have questions? Leave them in the comments. I read everyone. Up next, I'll share a few tips and suggestions for those seriously considering applying. Chapter 9. Tips for applicants. If you're seriously considering applying for MM2H, especially the silver tier, here are some practical tips to help you navigate the process smoothly and avoid common pitfalls. Number 1. Get a reputable agent. Now the government requires that you apply for MM2H through a licensed MM2H agent. I suppose this is because of all the discrepancies of paperwork submitted by DIY applicants have driven MM2H staff up the wall. So, get a reputable agent to help you with the paperwork. They will liaise with the Ministry of Tourism and guide you through every step, especially useful if you are not based in Malaysia. Number 2. Prepare your documents well in advance. Start gathering everything you need before you even begin the application: passport copies, bank statements, income proof, police clearance, medical checkup reports, insurance, and so on. Missing or incomplete documents are one of the most common causes of delay. Number 3. Choose the right bank for your fixed deposit. Not all banks in Malaysia are equally familiar with MM2H. Try to go with larger established banks that have dedicated MM2H services so you don't waste time explaining the process to someone unfamiliar with it. Again, your MM2H agent can advise you on this. Number 4. Be realistic about property. When it comes to the property purchase requirement, don't rush. You have time to shop around after approval. Take the time to explore neighborhoods, especially in Penang, and consult with agents who understand MM2H specific rules and local minimum pricing. In this area, I can jump in to recommend that you use the Penang Travel Tips website to research neighborhoods, as it is simply the most comprehensive website for place information. I will leave the link in the description below. On top of that, if you need a property agent, I can assign one to serve you. Number 5. Stay up to date with policy changes. MM2H rules have changed quite a bit in recent years, and more updates may come. Make it a habit to check with official sources or stay in touch with your MM2H agent to avoid surprises at renewal time. Number 6. Plan for the long haul. MM2H isn't a short-term program with commitments like a 10-year property hold and a long-term fixed deposit. This program suits those looking to truly settle in, not just visit occasionally. And there you have it. If you are ready to apply, these tips will help you start on the right foot. Let's now wrap things up with a short conclusion. Conclusion: So that's everything you need to know about the silver tier of the Malaysia My Second Home program. To quickly recap, MM2H offers long-term visa for foreigners who want to live in Malaysia, whether you are retiring, working remotely, or simply looking for a new lifestyle. Under the silver tier, you need to place 150,000 US dollars in the fixed deposit, purchase a property worth at least 600,000 ringgit, and meet the program's medical, financial, and documentation requirements. You will get a 5-year multiple entry visa, which is renewable indefinitely, and you can bring along your spouse, children, and even elderly parents. Malaysia, and especially Penang, offers a lifestyle that blends modern convenience with cultural richness, all at a cost of living that's very manageable compared to many Western countries. You get access to high-quality healthcare, vibrant food culture, beautiful nature, and welcoming communities. Of course, MM2H isn't for everyone. It requires a long-term financial commitment and is not a path to permanent residency. But if you are looking for a secure and flexible way to base yourself in Malaysia, either full-time or seasonally, it remains one of the most attractive residency options in Southeast Asia. I hope this video helped clarify how MM2H works and whether it might be right for you. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Penang Travel Tips for more content like this one. I'll be posting more videos about life in Penang, property tips, travel advice, and updates on MM2H as new developments come out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I do read and reply, and your questions might help others too. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in Penang.
Penang, I feel your heart. You got that special part. Penang, you are so beautiful. In your streets I roam. In your charms I'm home. In your charms I'm